we go now to the politics. I wonder how all of that, what we just talked about, works in and impacts the presidential race. You know, it's Friday here, and what we do a lot is we take a look at the state of the race. We've been doing this the last few weeks on our election board. Remember, we always start off with 235 GOP, 226 Democrats locked in, 77 in the middle of the screen are toss-ups. Those are the yellow states. So you start to think about how Kamala Harris now has changed things. So I think the headline we were going to talk about today was whether this is the week that Kamala Harris, the vice president, became the favorite in the presidential race, because a couple of things have happened this week. Number one, those prediction markets that we talked about earlier started to predict that she might beat Trump. Number two, the average of the polls from our election partners at DDHQ nationally, Harris, if you include RFK Jr., took the lead slightly over Trump. But you got to win it on this map. How does she do it? We're going to start in Pennsylvania and talk about two states in total, that being the first. If you take Pennsylvania, 19 electoral votes, and make it blue, that advantage we told you for the GOP flips. Now it's advantage Democrats, 245, 235, with 5 states on the board. Now, you could try the Sun Belt strategy if you're Harris. Go down to Georgia, 16 electoral votes. If she wins it like Biden did and then wins, say, in Arizona, you don't even need to because you're already over 270, but you could throw in Nevada, and then you're at 278. Even if those are back on as undecided states, the ones that we shade in yellow, now you have the blue wall strategy, right? But this is the one where the jobs report could have an impact, right? A lot of these blue-collar workers in places like Michigan. But if you do it and you turn it blue in your Harris and you do the same in Wisconsin, we've said it many times, that's your path to victory, and you win it easily to get over the top. Even with all the swing states still on the map, you would be at 270. Now, that's Pennsylvania and why it's so important. Of course, if you take Pennsylvania, by the way, and shade it red, see, advantage Trump, 254. Let's go now into Pennsylvania for a moment and talk about the state. So this is the map that we talk about when we look at the last election. 306 for Biden, 232 for Trump. Last two elections have been exactly that, right? 306 to 232. Just one was red, one was blue. Now, Pennsylvania is an interesting state for a lot of reasons. It was very close. It's always close, 50 to 48. That's the 2020 presidential election. But there was another election 2 years later in Pennsylvania for the governor. And if you go out to the governor's race, you'll see Pennsylvania is a blue state, and you'll look at the margins for a guy named Josh Shapiro, much wider, right? Josh Shapiro, they were talking about margin of victory. You can kind of get a sense of it on the map. It was a wider margin for him at 56.4 to 41.8 for his opponent. So that's the story there in Pennsylvania. We're going to hit one more state here while we're looking at it. We'll come out to the presidential race overall, and that would be, back on our prediction map, remember we're 235, 226, Arizona. If we made Arizona blue, like it was for Joe Biden, again, advantage to the Democrats. To go back into the live results on Arizona from the last time when Biden won it, could not have been closer than Pennsylvania. Look at those results. But again, 2 years later, after 2020, you go to 2022. It's not a governor's race. This time it's a Senate race in Arizona, and there's Arizona in blue, and here's the margin. You see that guy's name up there? Mark Kelly, 51.4, 46.5 for Blake Masters, who he ran against. So that, again, is what we're talking about when we look at the Veep stakes. And that's what we're going to get into for Kamala Harris here as we continue this conversation and bring it here. Those were the Senate seats that were open the last time around. Niall Stanage is with